businesses are laying people off, and here you are importing cars and like and like
Putting my
getting
money on the line. It's so
and you're getting a
financing.
premium on the cars that you thought you weren't getting. So what are your takes on the economy?
So that's why I'm taking it a little bit easy, even though I have four cars in the ocean. Well, not in the ocean; they're on top of the
All
ocean.
right, you did an Arabic translation just to English direct.
That's why
Yeah.
we're at Immigrants
Yeah.
Unfiltered. So
It's the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast with Hamza Ali. Hey guys, welcome to the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast with me, your host, Hamza Ali. And today we have Chad Mfive, also known as Chad Nasr. By the way, I found that out today because I looked at his socials, because I actually refer to him as Chad Mfive on the podcast. Me and Chad go way back. He initially reached out to me. Well, we kind of communicated over flex space out of all things, because Chad has a really interesting business that we're going to talk about. But before that, Chad, first thing I wanted to ask you is, of course, please give us a brief bio about your awesomeness. And secondly, just tell us who Chad Mfive or Chad Nasr is and how that journey began for you.
first of all, Hamza, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here in Houston, Texas, for the third time, I believe. Who is Chad? Do you want to know who's Chad or who's Yasser? Because that's my original name.
Right. So who is Yasser? Tell us.
Yasser. Okay, Yasser. Born in Iraq and moved to Iraq when I was 2 years old to Libya. I grew up in Libya, spent 18 years in Libya, and right after the revolution that happened in 2011, 12 in Libya, I emigrated here to the United States in at the end of 2012, and I've been here since.
So I think we both came here right around the same time. You came in 12, I came end of 13. So we're like a year apart. Just we came under different circumstances. You came because of the revolution and what was happening at the time. And I came just because, I wanted a better future, I guess, for my family.
Actually, I didn't really come because of the revolution. My parents won the lottery to come to the United States as immigrants.
Okay.
In 2007, that's how they were able to get the visa. But I wasn't able to come with them. They came in here in 2009, but I didn't come with them. I stayed in Libya for a few years. They did the sponsor, they did all the paperwork, and they were able to bring me right after that, which again, the process took multiple years, and I was able to come in at the end of 2012.
And so how did that work out? So they came here, you were below 18, I'm assuming, at the time, so they could sponsor you or apply for that thing for you to come, or?
Yeah, so the way it works here, to be able to sponsor someone, whether it's any person, even if it's your son, I believe the regulations is you're required to have a job and you have 3 years paid taxes. My parents just moved in, so they had no record of anything, so they had to find somebody to do the proper paperwork, and just the process took time.
Okay. And so when they come, you don't automatically come. You're not like a dependent on their on their lottery. It's like they apply, they come in. So this is like I'm trying to think, like, does every person go through this with their kids if they win the lottery?
So here's how it goes. If you're under 21, you're automatically eligible to come with your parents. My issue is my passport. My passport was expired, and I could not get a passport on time. I had like a window to provide the embassy with a passport. I got the visa. I just don't have a passport to put the visa on. So the way it worked, I tried to apply for a passport. I tried to apply in the embassy in Libya. I tried in the embassy in Tunisia. We did not have an American embassy in Libya, so we had it in Tunisia. That's how all the paperwork was done through the American embassy in Tunisia. I did it there, didn't work out. I even traveled because I'm an Iraqi citizen, so I even went to Iraq, applied. I couldn't get it done on time. I lost the visa, and I just went back to Libya, and I stayed in Libya. I just missed the cut.
So just because you missed documents, you spend years in Libya while your parents were here trying to prove, like, they had a job, they were doing whatever it is that they were doing, and they could sponsor you.
Yep. At that time, I believe I was 15, And yeah, I spent like 3 years.
That is
And
so crazy.
yeah, my parents were coming back and forth. They didn't like
But
leave me.
still, I mean,
Yeah, it was. I know. I know. It didn't hit me, but it definitely hit my parents big
yeah, for
time.
sure. I mean, you would like almost spent 3 years in limbo because of a technicality.
Correct.
That's crazy. See, these are the type of things that people don't understand. They look at you today, right? And they look at all your success and they see you on social media doing your thing. But nobody, I guarantee you, nobody has ever asked you that, or nobody actually understands how difficult it was for you to actually come here in the very beginning, right? And that's kind of, I think, all of us immigrants have that chip on our shoulder that it took so much to get here, that we are like automatically in hustle mode as soon as we land.
It's not just that, it's also what you leave because you're going to leave everything behind. Like, since the day I left, I did not go back. And like, it's just an entire lifetime that gets, I would say, erased completely, or you just don't have access to again because you're obligated to start a new life. So you just leave that in the past and start a new life again.
So, okay, what was that journey like? So you land in America, first day, you got all your documents, you landed here. Then what happened?
Um, so I'm in Michigan. First
So,
thing is, it was very cold. They described it to me how America is. It's definitely not like how it is in movies, because in movies all you see is New York
New York.
City. So come to America, just normal houses, normal roads, wide open. What's called the first thing that got my attention is why the walls are like drywall. I'm like, is this even safe? Like, I just knock on the wall. I'm like, is this even like okay to live in? But I guess that's how it's been.
It's funny you say that because I went through the exact same thing when I moved here. I lived in initially, of course, I lived in my aunt's house, and I always wondered that. I'm like, man, these walls are so thin. I can hear everyone. Like, I could hear them eating dinner, I could hear them
Yep.
watching TV. And then, worse, I moved to an apartment after that, and I could literally hear
The
everything.
whole
The
neighborhood,
whole neighborhood, right? I could hear people fighting, couples, just things happening around
all the
me.
fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, right? And so it's funny you bring that up because everything back home is stone. We
It's
never we
bricks.
never
Yep.
deal with really those type of like minute details until we land here. And
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
all cinder blocks and concrete. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, Hollywood is all movies, Big Apple, Empire State Building, Times Square. That's kind of what we think we're gonna get when we land. And here we are, typical suburbia. Uh, the life home is almost more fascinating than life here, just because of the way America's built. And, things are infrastructure rather, is relatively old. Of course, we have all the new things coming up, but generally the infrastructure is quite old. So it's funny how that ends up working out. So you land here, your parents describe it to you. Here you are in America. I'm assuming living with them in their house now, trying to figure out your next move.
Yeah, so the very first 6 months, I spent the entire time just communicating with my old friends until I came to a realization that there is no reason for me to communicate with them. Uh, we're in a completely different countries. I don't know if I'm gonna see him again, and this was just a complete waste of time. But again, first thing you come in, you have no barely any English, so I had to go to school, study some ESL, and then started college. I had some classes that I took overseas. I was in a university studying petroleum engineering, and then when I moved here, and none of my classes and all of the credits were transferred, and I had a ton. I had like 3 years worth of education, so I had to start all over. I wanted to go to a petroleum engineering school, but they are only available in states that have oil, which is like Texas and
Yeah.
exactly. So I couldn't find anything in Michigan, so I had to look for something else, and it was mechanical engineering. I started the mechanical engineering degree and ended up not finishing.
How long were you in college?
I was in college, so what I was doing, I was maxing out all the credits as much as I can, and I even took spring, summer classes. I was able to get like 90 credits within like, I believe, 2.5 years, that including the the
Summers.
English, no, included the English classes that I took. I took about 6 months, like 2 semesters of English classes, and then I was also taking English classes as I go. But it took about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, until like 2015. I started in 2013. That was my first semester. And I believe 2015, that's when I ended up just dropping out.
And what was the reason?
I just didn't see, it just wasn't for me. I just felt like I'm gonna be capped. It's a dead end road. And the reason is because I was listening to one of the interviews. It's an older one with Mark Cuban, and he was talking about how education is not what everyone think it is. And he was saying if anyone outwork anybody will win in life. So
Well,
that resonated with me. I wasn't like in that entrepreneurial mindset, I would say. I am all about the hustle, but I just didn't understand it.
well, so here you are. So you're not failing. You're getting you're getting decent grades. Out of choice, you listen to this interview. Mark Cuban says, "Hey, education's not for everyone. If you're an entrepreneur, go do your thing. You'll probably end up making more money." And you're like, "Okay, that's it. I'm done."
I don't want to say that's exactly how it was, but there's always like gonna be, okay, you're excited about school, but again, I don't think anybody loves school. We all hate it. Okay, we go to school, we waste so much time in school, they take our money, we leave school, we do homework for something that we didn't pay attention in class, and then we take exams for things that probably we didn't even study, and we just try to make it happen. So most people don't really love school. Maybe they get excited to go to school in the beginning. Just depends on what the lifestyle is there. But nobody loves. I don't think anybody loves school. We like learning, but we're required to study things that we don't care about. Like I'm not a big fan of history. I'm not a big fan of philosophy or psychology or all these sociology, all these classes that I don't need. That's not gonna help me in the future. Why am I required to take them? That was my only issue. And again, there's also the cost involved, the time that I have to spend going to school. It just didn't make sense to me after doing a lot of research, getting deep into like why school is important, and it just wasn't. Well, at least it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fine. We look. Elon Musk said that you don't need a degree to do anything in today's world. You can really tackle any task, unless it's technical, of course, like a doctor or engineer or like lawyer. Even lawyers now, AI is kind of messing that up. But my thing is that school is not for everyone, and I totally get it. So here you are, you decide to leave school. Then what happens?
So I didn't really decide. The shift wasn't I'm leaving school. So I was doing what I was doing, and it just happened by accident. I am in the that's a question probably gonna be later. But what I do right now is we work on cars. We do something called window tint, paint protection, film, vinyl wrapping. That's my current business right now. And the way it started is I just wanted to work on my own car. I've always been a car guy. I wanted to do something on my car, and I just didn't want to pay someone to do it because I just couldn't justify spending that kind of money. So why not try it out and try to figure it out? Watch a few videos, bought some tools, and try to do it myself, and failed, did it again, failed, and did it again, and it worked out. And after that, it just turned into like a business, just providing service to friends and friends of friends. And then that just picked up a little bit, and I just wanted to take a little bit break from school because it was back to back. Like I said, just maxing out all the credits. I had absolutely no life, and I was getting I had like some part-time jobs right in between that I learned a few things from them, but there wasn't anything valuable from these experiences. So I want to take a little bit break. You know how Middle Eastern families, school is
Everything.
School is everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I told them I need a year break. That's all I said. I did not take any semester off. Let me take this one. Took a year break, and
Everything changed.
I haven't been back to school since.
So obviously you took the year change. You have a chip on your shoulder now, and you have a time frame. You're like, okay, I need to do something. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go back to school.
I don't think they really. Here's the thing. I'm stubborn. Okay, I have my older brother. He's a little bit different, but I'm like the most stubborn person in my family. If I have something in my head, I'm gonna do it, whether it works or it doesn't. at least I'll go ahead and do it. I attempted. Again, I just try to prove myself. A lot of things, as much as they supported me, I would say they are my biggest supporter, but also they always want you to feel comfortable. They want you to do the things that are easy for you, that is more guaranteed. So they did not like me doing what I was doing because it just didn't make sense to them. And why not just take a degree instead? And so, not just us, all your families, your cousins, all the families overseas will be proud of you. Uh, I don't know if they are proud of me right now, that I don't have a degree or not. But again, each person, I can't please everyone. That's how I say.
Yeah, Middle Eastern culture is very degree focused. It's like,
Very.
what does your kid do? He's a doctor, engineer, lawyer, right?
The funny thing is, it's been since 2015. That's like 8 years, and technically, I dropped out of college. My family overseas still thinks I'm still in college.
So they don't even have a clue.
They don't know that
No
that I
social
finished
media.
or dropped out. Yeah, they don't know yet.
Well, I mean, look, like you said, you kind of left that world behind and you had to learn, you took ESL, you had to get acclimated to the US culture, and you somehow then, through friends and friends of friends, decided to somewhat become an entrepreneur, started your entrepreneurial journey. And then that took you to, I guess, within that year that you took off, that's kind of when things started to like go your way. And I guess that's when this whole idea began.
Um, Here's the thing. I don't think a lot of things that go your way. There's always gonna be obstacles. Okay, you just have to climb and then
Pave the road.
That's how it goes. But I just saw that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I just had to go and chase it, even though, again, there's a lot of naysayers that there's just so much noise. I don't let that affect me. I just focus on what I wanted to do, and yes, it did work out. But there's a lot of sacrifice behind that, of course.
So, question there. Do you feel like the negativity and the noise drove you to work even harder towards your goal?
Man, that's a tough question.
Like, do you think that was the reason you were like, okay, you know what? Since you were not behind me and you're not behind, and you think that I'm not going to succeed, I'm going to push even harder today.
So I don't know if that's how. I don't think I really care too much about the noise. It's more like I just want to do what I want to do. I wasn't trying to like prove people wrong. I just wanted to prove myself right.
Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is because, like, I remember one of my first big meetings here in Houston was with a huge developer at the time. And he actually told me that, Hamza, you know what? Just go back home. You're not going to succeed. He literally told me, and I was like shocked. Like, what the hell is this guy saying? And he was like, you're not going to succeed. Just go back home. You don't know what you're doing. You're just a small time person. And I feel like that conversation went so deep down within at that time that I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And I feel like out of that conversation, everything that I kind of tried to do after that, I would always remember that.
Actually, one of the things that one thing that actually like hit me hard at that time. I was while I was in college still, and I wasn't really doing what I currently do. It was like right in between. I was getting a job at a gas station, and that's what most Middle Easterns do. They get a job at a gas station because it's easier, requires no degree, nothing. Usually it's cash under the table, whatever how they get paid. It didn't matter to me. Like I had all the papers, but that's how it normally is. But I remember one of the owner of the gas station, he asked me, he's like, where are you from? And I told him I'm from Iraq. Like that was like 2 weeks into the training. And he told me, just so you know, like I had an Iraqi person here that was working for me and he stole from me. Okay. He's like, just so you know, like we got cameras and stuff everywhere. From that day, I did not go back just because it's more like, why are you being racist about this? What does the nationality has to do with my behaviors? So that's again, there's just a lot of things, but that was one of the things that I always remember, that person stereotyped me just because of where I am from, even though we're both Middle Easterns. But I didn't have to like prove anyone wrong. I mean, my parents, when they all telling me like, don't do this or don't do that, or don't move to a big shop or don't buy this, I always went and did it on my own. I never reminded them that you remember what you did to me. I have, but I never like made it like a big deal. Like, hey, you guys told me don't do it. I went ahead and did it, and it worked out. You never want to make, especially your parents. You never want to make them feel that way.
Yep, I totally get it. So that one conversation at the time triggered you, whether it was, whatever it was, and uh, that, very that may be the conversation that did it all, man. You never know,
I just never wanted to work for somebody after that.
right?
Yep, that was it. It was like a day. I mean, we all work for somebody in the end. We all our boss is gotta be our client. And when somebody says, "I am my own boss," and your client is your boss, he's the one that's paying you, and they can fire you at any moment. You have to make him happy, just like if you have an employee, you pay your employee, they make you happy, you make them happy. That's how it normally is. But I just didn't want to work for somebody, and again, I just had the computer in front of me and just doing a lot of research and watching a lot of interviews. That's what I did. And back then there wasn't a lot of content. Now it's everywhere. But back then there was barely anything. Like that was like 2014, I believe. That it was 2014. That's when it was. So there was barely anything out there. That was before Vine, before TikTok. Instagram is barely there. Instagram didn't even offer videos at that time, and just some YouTube videos of clips that were shot in the past.
Exactly. It's funny you bring all that up because I remember when I came to this country, that's all I would do, YouTube. And the knowledge that YouTube had at the time, it wasn't this library of information. It wasn't people vlogging about their journeys. It was basic videos, it was just basic educational how-tos, and there were some other entertainment.
A lot of pranks.
Yeah, and a lot of
Yep,
pranks
it
and
was
funny
popular at
stuff.
that time.
But you're right. And Facebook was probably, even Facebook wasn't enough of a platform to like really educate you. There were Facebook groups and real estate and all that, but it was also primitive at the time. And Instagram when I came here, was almost useless. Like it was a bunch of realtors and advertising for homes and that type, but there was nobody really like offering mentorship or educational content or seminars or whatever that you could listen to today, like Mark Cuban and O'Leary and all these other people that talk today literally on social media and educate people. So now here you are doing research, ton of research, and is this the point where you opened your business?
So I was doing it in my parents' garage. That's what it was. I was doing it in my parents' garage. The whole place wasn't properly set up for me,
Right.
but I just had to make it happen. Just like
And so what
if
did you start with? Are you detailing
I
cars?
was
Are you
tinting.
tinting?
I was
Okay.
tinting. Yes, I was tinting windows, and I really was just so obsessed about doing it, and I was just so obsessed about the result. It's always nice to see the transformation, and I just got better at it. I watched videos, practice doing it, just doing it to friends, just doing it for cheap. I just wanted to learn how to do it,
And at
and
that time, was tinting different than it is today?
it's the same exact process,
Okay.
the same exact thing, the same stuff I used, the same tools, almost the same tools, the same process, the same method that I used back then. It's still exactly the same right now. So I was doing that in my parents' garage, and then we moved to another garage because the first one was so small where I can't even open the doors all the way out, which you're supposed to. We moved to a different garage that has a different house that has a bigger garage, and that's what I was doing. I started doing vinyl wrapping. That was even much more satisfying because you transforming the color of the car from black to orange or from white to dark blue. It's just so cool.
And I think you were one of like at that time. I think vinyl wrapping itself was like a brand new thing.
Vinyl wrapping, I would say, is vinyl wrapping has been since like the 90s, but the material was different. It's not like the material that we have right now. The material that we have right now is a lot easier to work with, and it's a lot more durable. It's been out since the 90s because you can see like 70s cars, they have decals on them, and it's technically the same material, but the older material doesn't stretch as the new one. So I was just teaching myself, and it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't that popular. Now people do it, even cars, like for example the Cybertruck, it's just not gonna have any color. So the only option for The buyer is to go get it wrapped. It's stainless steel, and there's not many things you can do to it. So that's what I started doing, and it was tough. That was more tough than window tinting. But again, I just was very determined. I wanted to learn it, watch a lot of videos, and go ahead and apply. Fail, watch videos, try it again, and that's pretty much how it worked. Added the paint protection film. I was just messing with it, and I was still in the garage. I spent like about almost 2 years just working in the garage, and I had a lot of clients. Like clients coming to me with Lamborghinis in an $80,000 house, okay, and I was able to work on their vehicles.
How
So
are you
they
getting those
trusted me.
clients?
Just shaking hands. That's how it is. Just building connections. When someone trusts you with one person trusts you with their car, they tell you this guy is good at what he's doing. He's gonna refer somebody else, and that's how it was. I wasn't charging that much in the beginning, just so I can learn and also attract the right buyers. But slowly, I built my skills, and I moved to my first shop, and that's one of the first places. Well, one of the decisions I made where also my parents weren't happy with, because they were saying, why not just stay where you are? You have absolutely no bills. You're doing very well. Why are you going to? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. There are certain clients that I want to have access to. Those clients are not going to come to my garage. I cannot do it. It's absolutely unprofessional. Got my first place. That was in 2016. It was like a 4-car flex space. Okay.
Yeah.
It was about, yes.
What were you paying for the 4-car flex space?
4-car, it was about 1,800 square feet. It had a mezzanine up top, a 10 by 30. So that's an extra 300 square feet that doesn't get counted. I believe I was paying 1,300, maybe like 1,200 bucks at that time a month. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't include, well, I think the cam is included. I don't have to pay. The only thing I had to pay for was a modified gross lease, so I only had to pay for taxes.
Got it. So, I mean, still relatively cheap,
Very
in
cheap,
in today's world. So 4-car garage, you start from there. Did you start getting the clients that you wanted?
So here's the thing. I put all my money into that place, okay? And that was at the end of October, early November. That's when I moved in. For us, that's a complete season change. That's when it starts getting cold. That's when people put their sport cars away and all they drive is their, we call them daily beaters. So any cheap car or like a pickup truck, and nothing that exciting. That's what people start driving. So it slows down. Holidays, people don't care about what I do, or like the service I provide is not that big of a deal to them. They care about holidays, they care about Christmas, they care about, making their house look pretty. And the last thing they want is to spend some money on their car. So to me, it was very tough because I moved in at the wrong time. That was November. I should have moved in April. That's when it starts warming up. That's when we actually start getting busier. So the very first month, I put all my money into the building, and I didn't even know how am I gonna pay my utility bill by the end of the month because I just had no business. It was just a bad move for me at that time. I should have waited, or I should have spent less, I would say, just so I can pay all the extra expenses that I didn't count for because I didn't have them when I was in my parents' garage. But slowly things work out, and I was able to make my bills, pay them up slowly, and the business starts picking up, and yeah, it was great.
So it was great. How long did it take you to get out of the 4-car garage into your next upgrade?
I would say I outgrew that space. I outgrew the space by myself, because by myself I can only do so much unless I'm just gonna park cars and I'm just gonna use the space for storage. It doesn't work. If you have space, you want to have space and also have people to work on other projects to turn these projects faster. So it took me 2.5 years to move from the first location to the second one, from 1,800 square feet, and the current one is only 5,000 square foot. But I outgrew that space, the first one, I outgrew that space within the first year. and it was just very difficult to find what I exactly want. It's everywhere. That's a problem. You either have to go with like 8,000 square feet plus, or you have like the 1,100 square foot building that doesn't work for me. So it was very difficult to find the right place at the right layout at the right location that fits my budget that is available. But it took about a year and a half just searching, and then normally it takes about like a few months to finalize the deal. Currently, I'm in a 5,000 square foot building. We've been in it since July of 2019, so it's been almost 3 years right now. We have 1 year left, but I'm not staying there after that. I'm not renewing my lease. I'm just gonna buy my own building.
Okay.
Maybe build my own building.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you're here. We could talk about that
There
for
we go.
sure. So you're in a space, your lease is coming up. Obviously, you moved into that space. You just said 2019, so COVID hit after that.
So I moved in, yeah. So I remember July of 2019 or June of 2019. That's when I moved. But we were busy. Again, we were busy. We had like a team. It wasn't like just one person. I believe I had 6 or 7 employees at that time in 2019. I believe almost 10 employees in 2019 in the new place. I was hiring people while the building wasn't even fully built, like not built, but more like organized. Like we have a 4-post lift for cars that were just stacked to the side while we're getting work done, and we had a camera guy recording with all the mess in the shop. We just had to make it happen. A few months later, yeah, you're right, COVID hit again. I don't want to say like it really affected us. I had to lay people off because at that time it was March. Normally we get really busy, starting from like February to I would say November. That's like our prime season. From early December to end of January, even like mid-February, for us, like that's a little bit slow, which is fine. We can catch up on a few things. We can train other people. There's just a lot of things that we can do within that time. So March of 2020, that's when COVID hit. We were busy. I had staff with me. The whole shop, we cannot even walk. We had just so many projects. And in Michigan was a little bit tough for us because just the governor, just politics. We were required to shut down, so we had to close. I told my staff, I told them, we're gonna close, but we got these projects, we need to finish them. The clients don't care; they want their cars back no matter what. If you bring me your $20,000 Lambo, they don't want that one to sit for months until we don't know when they're gonna allow us to open again. We were doing some work in the shop, but for some reason I don't know who found out, but cops came in and they actually required me to lay off all my employees, and they did not allow any person to come in my building because we were not essential at that time. So I had to lay off every person.
What happened to the cars
I had to work on it myself
to finish them?
to finish them because I cannot have any people in my building, and they just, I would say I'm like on the spotlight. People will always call and just complain. People will complain about anything. You know how it was. It was just crazy at that time. So I was just working on it myself, and honestly, COVID was like we were closed for like maybe a month and a half or 2 months. And it flew by so quick because I was so busy just working on these projects. It was a normal day for me. Even like Sunday, I was still going to the shop like at 8 in the morning and leave probably like around midnight. And at that time, I was also making content. That's when I started making content. Like I was aggressively focused on making content on TikTok. And that's, I believe, what a lot of people did. I leveraged that, and it worked out perfectly. Clients came in and picked up their cars within that time. And when we were allowed to operate again, all the projects were done. The staff were back to work, and we just got busy right after that.
Yeah, I think that content piece is very important. So COVID happens, you get shut down, you lay off everyone. Now you're working on these cars and you're like, hey, might as well just create content in my own time. And I think that's initially when I saw you. And I was like, man, this guy's doing some really cool stuff. And then you just kept growing and growing and growing to millions of followers at some point, and literally very like almost like soothing content for car people.
People love it, and that's why I just kept doing it, because people love the process. They say it's very satisfying to watch, and I was at a point where I just didn't know what I should be doing. Should I be doing like what's satisfying or what's important to grow the brand? Because it's just hard to to do these things. Where should I stand? But I just kept making these content, and I was going doing all these live streams. I was live streaming for hours at some point, multiple times a day. I was posting a lot of content at some point, like 4 to 6 times a day, and that's how I was able to grow really fast.
And at that time, the algorithm was like there weren't enough creators. So you were probably one of the first people to get in there, start creating, and post all the car. I think you were like, at some point, in my opinion, you were king of car content. Basically, everybody who's anybody in the car world knows you somehow.
It was great. It was great. I think I should have kept doing it, but I slowed down a little bit just to focus on business, especially in the past 6 months. I focus primarily just to focus on the business, because creating content is great, but at the same time, if you only focus on creating content but you let your business fail, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
You gotta focus on one thing. But so I ended up focusing on the business instead, and now I'm back on the content. I made my first post.
So hold on, how long did you
yesterday.
stop for?
I didn't completely stop, but if you go and see from August of 2022, so that's about 6 months, you might find maybe just 10 videos.
You know, I was gonna say I haven't seen you in a long time pop
Yes.
up on my For You page, because I do follow you.
Yes, so I just don't post anything. I'm on Instagram, but again, it was just not my priority. That's what it was. Was it the right thing to do? Yes, but not for that long. I should have not waited that long.
And why do you say that?
Just because that's just like working out, okay? If you have a routine, you go to the gym for years. If you stop for a week, you can go back and you can get your strength very fast because you have that muscle memory. But if you stop for 6 months, you're gonna feel very weak after that. And the issue is gonna be afterwards is gonna be how creative are you gonna be after you stop for that period of time, because the creativity will stop. Just like playing guitar, just like just like anything. If you're doing something that you're frequently doing and you stop doing it, when you're back at it, you're not gonna be as creative.
It's like muscle memory.
It's muscle memory. I'm still. I mean,
But
I
it's
can
also
still,
like riding a bike. You know how they say that you can
it's
ride a
easy.
bike after 10 years and it takes you a week and you're back at it.
I made my first post again in a long time. I posted it 2 days ago, and no, actually, I posted it last night. I recorded it and posted it last night. One of the guys in the comment, they said this guy took a long vacation and he came back and it's like nothing happened. So yeah, people can see that, like, okay, it's in you, that you have that energy. You can be in front of the camera. You're not camera shy. You can say whatever you want to say, and that's not gonna change. So I don't think that's affecting me, but it's more like I don't recommend it to anyone. I am gonna be back. I just had to take a break.
I think it's totally fine, man. Everybody needs like a little bit of a mental time off. I wish I could take some mental time off, but I have a whole team that relies on me. And if I stop, my business literally stops the same day. So like, I just continuously have to keep posting. So I'm wondering, now that I think about that, did that impact your business in any way?
No, it didn't. We already had the traffic. That did not impact my business.
Do you guys get booked in advance, like way in advance?
So here's the thing: a lot of people get when they say they're booked like a month, 2 months, 3 months in advance. That's not a good thing. Okay, if you're booked that far in advance, you don't have the right crew. Okay, and especially with what we do, people want their things done quick. When you wrapped your car in the Dubai police theme, If somebody told you I can schedule you in a month and a half, you got to be looking for somebody else. So we try to keep it within like a week and a half window. It just depends on what you want to get done. A week and a half max. But certain things are quick. We can get them in the same day. It just depends on what we have to do. And that's what I focus on is I have to make sure I have the right team, the right skills that can get things done quick so those clients don't go elsewhere. And that's how I was able to scoop all the clients from the other shops just because the other shops just have a small team.
Yeah, you're right. The Dubai police theme that I had done, I got done the same day. I called the guy, and he said, "Yeah, come on in today." I'm like, "Yes, okay, fine, I'll get it done." And I literally walked out with the car the next day, I think.
That's how it is. If I want something, I want it done now.
Yeah,
If someone tells me I have to wait, I'm gonna figure it out myself. My truck just broke down the other day. I had to uh, tow on a flatbed to the dealer, and the dealer said, "Yeah, we have the truck right now, but we won't get to it until 3 weeks from now." I just did some research. It was like a shifter. It's a Dodge Ram. I think the shifter was bad, and I just ordered a new one, installed it in the dealer's parking lot. It worked. I drove off. I called him the next day. I did it like at 1 in the morning. I called him the next day. I told him, "Hey, I picked up the car. I'm gonna come and get the key." I fixed it.
fix it yourself.
Fixed it
So
myself.
this is the second
It's
time.
under warranty.
This is the second time I think that you have done something with your own car and then just dealt with it. Because I remember you were telling me about that story where your car got stolen. We'll get to that in a second. The GT3.
Yeah.
That's a hilarious story, man. And I commend you on doing that. That's like almost dangerous, what you did to get your car back. But so now you are here. Your run times are good. Your business is good. COVID is good. And somehow you and I now get connected over TikTok. And you come and visit me in Houston because of FlexSpace and because you're thinking of growing. So what were you doing at the time? Because I know that at that time you were going to multiple locations. You have your main shop and you're going to multiple locations. And I'm guessing that was some type of business strategy that you had. And I want to learn more about that.
So yes, at that time I wanted to plant these locations in everywhere, or at least in all major cities in the U.S. I did not even start. Like, it was just a business that wasn't in operation. It was just a plan that we didn't even start. We didn't even take clients in. What I call a failure, you could call it a failure, but I was able to pull myself out. I lost some money up front because I didn't have the right partners. So I had some partners I trusted that I was gonna build a business with, but I just didn't have good feelings about where it's headed. And I just backed out completely from both deals. One deal was supposed to be in Florida, and the other one was local to me, and it was just not the right group to do business with. So it's okay. I lost some money, but it did not affect my brand, because if I continued with the wrong partners and then we had to split, that would have been a disaster, because it was gonna affect my brand. They're not gonna lose anything.
Yeah, I mean, you have the following, you have the hustle, everybody knows your face. In fact, if anything, I think they'd get business just because your face is on it.
Correct. So I just didn't want to make that an issue where it affects my business. Again,
Honestly, I don't even think failure is the right word to use. I think you are a content creator first, because you have literally millions of followers, and at some point in time you were the king of rapping. You were the king of like what you do, and your brand is just too important for you to like even consider going in with the wrong partners, because you will lose everything, they will lose nothing. And so you have to kind of think about it that you are in protection mode.
100%. And I'm very happy with the decisions I made, because again, the only thing that we made was just a few Instagram posts and some money that we spent. That was it. And no money was taken from clients. Nothing had to be fixed or had to be, again, nothing. After that, I was like, you guys go on your own. Let me focus on my thing. This is just not going to where I think
It needs to go.
exactly. And the problem is because when you do business with, there are two things I would say that you can do business with. There is a hustler, that a person that never seen money, but when you give them money, they actually appreciate it. But there is somebody when is also a hustler, but when you help them with money, and it gets to a point where they start making money with your help, and they see you bring in a lot of value, but they don't appreciate that value, and they see it as, why am I paying you that amount or like that percentage if I'm doing most of the work, while all the value that you brought in
Lead
early
gen.
on, they don't appreciate it. That's a problem. That's not the type of person you want, because they never seen money in the past. Um, if they don't appreciate it, then they're just not gonna value.
Hey, look, man, all business partnerships, I think, are a marriage. And if it's not written, people lose interest very fast. So the thing is, in partnerships, because I deal with like thousands of investors, right? Each investor is different, and somehow you have to keep everybody in check and in harmony, and in line, sort of, with the general purpose, with the general mission, right? So it's not even about me at some point. It's about the business. And I think once you put things in writing and you enforce them, I think that's where you probably were the better person, and you were like, you know what, I trust you guys. You guys run with this, and then we'll kind of see where it goes, and then we will create something out of it.
I'll be honest with you, it doesn't matter whether it's writing or not. If someone has no integrity, no morals, no, if someone that is not ethical, I will give you, $1 million right now, and I know it's gonna be in good place without anything in writing. Why? Is because you're a person that I can trust. Okay, but it doesn't apply to everyone.
Right.
So even if it's in writing, I'll give you $1 million. But if you're a crook person, I won't even get the money, even if I have a document. Even the law is not gonna protect you, because if you lost all the money, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna generate the money for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just depends on who you're partnering with.
Yeah, I agree.
And there is a reason why people trust you with their investments, is because of the integrity they have.
Right, exactly. And believe it or not, you mentioned something earlier about your brand and how like you went into protection mode because it's so important. Obviously, I'm not as big of a creator as you are, but we have had instances here in the company where we have, as a team, had to go into protection mode just to protect the brand, and had to say no. Like I literally today, believe it or not, this morning said no to $20 million of investment money coming into my
Wow.
fund. $20 million. We said no to that, just because we have to protect the brand, and we don't know where the money is coming from, and the person's not being upfront. And end of the day, we have to comply with American regulation, SEC guidelines. Like there is just so, like, if I was a shady person, I'd be like, yeah, bring it in, let me figure it out. I'll figure something out. But we genuinely cannot verify where the money came from, and so we politely had to decline $20 million.
Wow.
And it's all for brand protection. Because look, you have at least another 50 years in you, at least.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and I have probably 50 years or so in me as well, hopefully, or maybe a little less because I'm a little older.
Just 6 years apart.
Yeah, but it makes a difference, man. It makes a big difference. Let
You're
me tell you that.
36?
I'm 38.
Oh, wow. You
Yeah,
grew since last
yeah,
year.
exactly.
By
So
2 years.
yeah, so it makes a difference. I think 37 is a game changer for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, 37 to 38 is definitely a
I'm
game
30
changer.
now, so now I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so I was 31 when I made my first $1 million. Like one go, $1 million. I was 31 when I did that.
1 million in like cash in the bank account?
Cash in my
or-
bank account.
Beautiful.
Hit my bank account. So I was
Beautiful.
31 when that happened for me. And here we are at 38, and I can tell you life is different, man. Like things start, happening at 38.
That's awesome.
But you know, but here you are. So we met because of initially, I think, those partnerships. You came down to Houston to check out some industrial real estate to see what you could do. And we, of course, got to bond and
It was
got,
amazing.
yeah, got to meet each other. I showed you some of my projects, some of
Yep.
my developments, and it's pretty interesting. Those developments have matured. I've sold all of them, and so we have new developments in the pipeline. But then we stayed in touch, and I think the next time we connected is I remember specifically when you were here in Houston. You said, "Hey, man, I went to this seminar. It was by PBD, by Patrick Bet David, and you were like, man, it was a game changer for me." And I think that comes from those very early on videos that you were talking about that you continuously watched to further educate yourself on business.
I just never stopped. I kept doing it since I would say 2017, 2018. Like I was listening to Gary Vee, I was listening to Grant Cardone. There wasn't many people like actually posting contents. PBD was one of them as well. I attended. I remember the 10x Growth Conference. I believe back in 2018, my first one, and I believe that was their second event. And every time I go, I just take a piece from it. Sometimes they say the same exact thing, like
But you need
last
to hear
year's
it.
event and this year's event. It's probably the same exact thing, but what I picked from last year and what I picked from this year, they're totally different because you only pick what you need to apply right now because each person is at a different cycle in their business. So you have to pay attention, and that's why there's always going to be different takeaways for different people. It just depends on where they can implement these advices.
Yeah, totally. And that has contributed, I think, massively to your success. You need to realize that a lot of people don't get to where you're at in such a short amount of time on social media and in business life as well, right? Like I started my business journey at 29. You've started like
23, I would
yeah,
think I was 23 at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely all these conferences, whether it's the conferences, whether it's the books,
So how many
whether
conferences
it's
do you attend a year?
so last at least one conference a year. At least one conference. I believe the only year that I did not attend was 2020 because nothing was. I was going to attend, but I got canceled. Which it was the Vault by Patrick Bet David. That's the one that was supposed to attend, but again, the whole event got canceled. I think they did it virtual. They did it virtual, and then they redid it, or they ended up doing it in 2021. I attended that one. At least I attended one conference, but for the most part, 2 to 3. Just picking the right people that I like to listen to. And here's the thing, like I said, a lot of times they say the same thing. When you go to Grant Cardone's boot camp, I personally like the boot camp more than the Tanks Growth Conference because it's more direct.
How much is that?
I think it's like $2,500 to $5,000 for like a 2 to 3 day event. There's a lot of, it's just they'll still gotta sell you their product or their university or whatever. But sometimes, whatever you do, okay, you have the momentum, you got all the energy, you work hard, something comes your way, multiple things comes your way, and you're gonna slow down. And these events that I attend, whether it's an event I attend or a book I listen to, I like audiobooks personally more than reading. I'm just a slow reader. But the conferences is a lot better because it's more receptive. You're in front of that person. You feel the energy. You're paying full attention. You're paying for the place as well, and for you to get there. So it makes a lot of difference. Even my staff, like sometimes they tell me, Chad, I think you need to go attend the conference
Need that
because
energy.
you need that back. Exactly. So they see it. They see it because again, you got the momentum, but a lot of things, come your way and you just want to get busy, so try to solve them. And it stress you out, it slow you down. You just need somebody to push you back up, and it just happens from these rooms. And I love going to them. I haven't been anywhere this year, which again I missed the boot camp. I believe it happened last month. I'm gonna attend the next one, I believe in May, just because each person provide different value. There's also Patrick Bet David. Last year I attended 3 different conferences. Patrick Bet David, he had a sales summit conference. It was, I believe, a 1-day event. I attended the 10x Growth Conference, and I also attended the Vault, which you were there as well.
Yeah, I actually went because of you.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
But you left early.
I did. I did. We're gonna talk about that in just a second. So, you're doing all of these things to keep to open doors as soon as you come out. And I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of energy of you when you leave a conference and you're ready, and you feel like there's these 6 doors. I can at least open 5 of them right now and look at what's on the other side. And conferences, I think, motivate your team because you actually brought your team with you as well.
I did.
So conferences motivate your team. They keep them energized. They keep them focused. And they also are, I think they're an awesome incentive for them to come and, hang out with you outside of an office setting.
I remember we also talked about this before. The conferences, yes, it's amazing, but also even audiobooks. And we discussed we had a conversation about the Be Obsessed or Be Average. For some reason, it's both of our favorite, one of our favorite
Definitely
books.
on
Actually,
top
now,
5.
if you go right now, I was listening to it on the airplane when I came here.
Yeah.
Why? Just because that book just resonated with me so much, and everything in that. Every time I listen to that one, I pick something. Sometimes you just need to be remember. Hey, this is what was said, and even though you know it, you just need to remember it, and it just put you back on track. That's all you need. You need to be put back on track. No matter how much focus you are, you just get distracted.
I agree.
Need to be back on the rails and just keep moving.
I agree. Look, 10X Rule, Be Obsessed or Be Average. Those are books that I probably read on repeat every 6 months just to get re-energized. I feel like once I read them, I'm like a different person for some time.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Talking about audiobooks, what other type of audiobooks do you like?
Audiobooks. So certain audiobooks, definitely nothing.
Like, is it all educational stuff?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews, a lot of Joe Rogans, a lot of health stuff. I've been listening to in the past. I would say in the past 6 months, because I've been focused a lot on my health. As far as working out, eating healthy.
You look like you're in better shape for sure.
Thank you. My mom doesn't say that.
No, you definitely look different from when I saw you at the Volt.
She definitely says I look skinny. But again, that's how, moms are. They always want their kids to be fat.
Right. Fed.
So I do listen to audiobooks. Definitely nothing romantic or romance or everything has to be either a business or finance. Primarily, it's got to be business. I just have a list of books, and some of them that I like. Some of them I get bored of. I just cannot finish. If the person that writes the book isn't the person that narrates, I just cannot pay attention.
They can do that now with AI. They can have.
Oh my God,
They can have your voice.
That's
they'll
right.
record it, and apparently it learns your voice, and now it
Yeah.
can narrate kind of sort of in your 80%
No,
of your voice.
I watched a video of Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was giving a speech, but it was narrated by multiple different people, Steve Jobs and multiple different people. It was just crazy how good it was. I'm like, there's no way. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be a new thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be a new thing for sure, man. Okay, so we've covered, I think, a lot of your business, how you got started, your journey, school, parents. I know you recently got married. Well, not recently, but you got married a while ago.
It's been a while. It's been 5 years.
5 years,
Yeah.
and then you just had a baby,
I
right?
just had a Sana, yeah.
How old is Sana?
She is.
That's crazy. My wife's name is Sana. You know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom's name is Sana as
There you
well. She is 9 months. She is 9 months.
Damn.
Yeah.
I miss those ages, man. My kids are 14.
She's crawling.
No, my
She's
kids
crawling.
are
She's got
12 and
little,
11.
Little teeth in the bottom right now.
Yeah?
Just baby ones, yep.
Well, so what is that like? What's that journey like? What's fatherhood
It's
like?
very different. I get very excited to go home right now.
Okay.
That's why you don't see me going lives again.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
need to
thinking
do
maybe
'em.
there's a correlation, man. You left, social media because you have Sana now.
It did. Again, there's just a lot of things that happened at the same time. Yes, and that was definitely one of them because I was just hearing from people that had kids, have kids that were in that age that they didn't get to spend time with, and they tell me you gotta spend time with your kids, especially, when they're growing up because time just flies by so fast, and you have to spend time. So I tried my best. Maybe I spent a little bit too much time.
Took away from your social media.
But no regret. Absolutely no regret.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, I missed out on the first couple of years of my kids growing up, and then I came here. So my story is I came here 9 months. I didn't get to spend with my kids because my wife and kids couldn't come because I couldn't afford to bring them here and like run a business and all that.
That's tough.
And so yeah, definitely time with your kids is better than time without your kids as they're growing up. Now, once they get to a certain age and they start becoming like young adults, which I will tell you is way earlier than it used to be in our days. So our days, we probably became young adults at like 15. Today, it happens at about 10, 11 years old. They become young adults just because of the schools and what they're exposed to and the amount of information that they get. That is when they kind of don't want to spend time with you anymore. And then they come back to you in their, later years. So cherish these moments is what I'm telling you. And also, terrible twos end at about 7. So, they're tough till about 7, and then they become like your best friend after that, till about 11 or 12. And then they just don't want to deal with you, unless you're famous. So you're famous, so you're lucky. Then they're like, oh, my dad's cooler than your dad, that you can play that card as they grow older.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to spend more time with them, with Senna right now. I'm not sure if we have a plan for another one yet, but that's we'll see how it goes. But there are definitely moments that I can, they're priceless.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. If everything went well the first time, try to have the second one as soon as possible because
That's what everyone tells me.
It's just
that's what everyone tells me. Like, don't 2 years max. Like,
I would
tell
say
me like
less
just do
than
it right
that.
after.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did mine right after. So mine are 2 years apart.
Okay.
And it's just a beautiful journey. They're best friends and they're worst enemies at the same time. Now that they grew older, of course, they're worst enemies at the same time. So 50% of the time they're playing with each other, and 50% of the time they're just trying to like figure out a way to like defeat the other sibling. But it's beautiful
awesome
to watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you because there's a gap between my older brother and my sister. My sister is 5 years younger than my brother, and myself and my sister were only a year apart. We're much closer, me and my sister, and my brother. Again, I don't want to say like he's
it's a different
disconnected,
generation.
but it's just different. Like it's just different. I mean, I was different when we were older, but when we were younger, me and my sister were best friends.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear, man. Let's talk about cars. Let's get to the fun stuff, man. So, like, I remember when I met you at the Volt, you came in a Land Cruiser. So, a guy who drives a Dodge. What was the Dodge that you drove?
I have the Ram, I have a Viper and I have a Ram.
Exactly. No, I'm talking about like the fully like done one. Is the Viper?
A sports car?
Yeah.
It's a Viper, yes.
Okay, so you went from a Viper and a Dodge truck into a Land Cruiser. And I remember you took delivery of the Land Cruiser in the conference in Florida, and you're like, hey, man, this is my new car.
I was going to pick you up from the airport. Like, I literally Ubered
right, I remember.
to the parking lot. It was a Walmart parking lot. That's where the car was dropped off. It was delivered from Alabama. And I hopped in the car, but I see the distance. Well, I went to the wrong airport.
You went to the wrong airport. That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
and I just didn't want to miss the meeting, and I was able to get to the meeting on time. You almost missed it, but yeah, I took delivery right there.
You took delivery of your Land, and I remember it was kind of dirty inside when like it wasn't like ready to be delivered. It was like you just literally like just bring it, just give it to me.
It was outside. I mean, it was across like half the country.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what happened there? Because I remember you talked to me, you're like, man, I can't deal with these unreliable Dodge trucks anymore. I'm going to get a Land Cruiser.
That was the thing. So I've always been a Land Cruiser guy. We're Middle Eastern, and we live in countries that we love these trucks. If you live in Tunisia, if you live in maybe like Algeria, a Land Cruiser isn't like a big deal. Like Morocco, same thing. If you live in, I think Jordan, there's just a lot of countries that, or Egypt, like all these countries, Land Cruiser is not an option. It's not a car that people actually like. They more like German cars, like or European.
That's
cars.
what I was gonna say. Yeah, Peugeot and like.
Or if it's luxury, it's gonna be
Renault.
BMW or Mercedes.
Okay.
Like that's what they love. But for us, Libya, I grew up in Libya, Iraq. I mean, you were
all of
Khalij,
it, yeah.
all of
It's
them.
all Land Cruisers.
They love Land Cruisers. So for us, that's the vehicle, and it's not like that's the vehicle. We like these cars more than the German cars.
Yeah, they're prestigious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you have to like, you have a status to own these cars.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted one. I just didn't get the chance to buy one. And after just going through a lot of cars, I just couldn't deal with how unreliable they are, and I just wanted to buy something that actually work. I don't care about all the
Bells and whistles.
the bells and whistles. I don't care about all that. I want something that works, and I just went back to my roots, and it was a Toyota Land Cruiser.
Man, you know, you inspire me to go buy. I look at Land Cruisers probably at least once a week because of you. And I'm like, man, Chad went from, you know, these Dodges, and I don't think they're good cars. And I'm obviously an AMG guy, but I have more recently even found love in Land Cruisers, and I think they're pretty awesome vehicles. They're just so darn expensive.
They are expensive. I mean, again, that was one of the things when I was looking for one. Like at that time, was like a 2013 with 200,000 miles. They're still going for $40,000, and the car originally was 80, 85 at that time. I would say that doesn't happen with any American car, any German car. And when you tell someone, "Hey, should I buy it?" they say, "Oh, it's just broken in." And I ended up buying two Land Cruisers with 200,000 miles. They're just about 2 years apart, 2013, 2015. One for me, one for my dad. The one that I bought, my wife took, and now I'm just left with a bunch of other Land Cruisers.
What do you mean a bunch of other Land Cruisers?
I have multiple. I have a few 1990s. I just took delivery last week of my Land Cruiser pickup, the Toyota Shas, if you know it.
The renowned Shas.
1997. It was in 1997. I imported that one from Saudi Arabia. It just came in last week. I have a Nissan.
So hold on, what's going on with all these Land Cruisers?
So there is a passion. There is also an obsession, and there's also a business side of it. Yes. So if I buy something, I know it's clean. I know I can sell it at profit. Then I'm buying it. And now people are asking me like, "Do you have any Land Cruiser for sale?" So I don't know if I want to be like the Land Cruiser guy, but I have no issues.
I think that's pretty cool, man.
I have ones going on Bring a Trailer next week. A 1997 beautiful one. I just sold one last month, also on Bring a Trailer, same thing in 1997, the older one with like the flares. I have a Lexus version of it right now. Same thing, I'm gonna sell that one very soon. I don't want these, and there's a reason why I don't want them is because I don't like the U.S. specs. I like the
GCC specs.
Right.
The
or at
Middle
least
Eastern specs.
The Middle Eastern. The reason why I like the Middle Eastern ones is because a few things that I like the manual transmission. We had no Land Cruisers in the manual transmission like the 1990s in here at all. So I like to get them from there. Tire carrier, 2 tanks of gas. They're just certain options that were available there. The cloth seat, like I go crazy for the cloth seat.
Yeah.
We all got the leather seats, and I don't want the leather seats.
Right. We even got the inline 6.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, which is like a variant of like the Supra engine or something.
That's what I have on the pickup one. It's got the inline 6. It's an inline 6 4.5, which is a very big displacement.
That's the one that they put the turbos on, man. The one the videos.
I think that's a Patrol. I'm not sure.
The 4.5 liter inline 6.
Inline 6, yes.
Also got the turbos on it. The Patrols all
Because you told me you were in the aftermarket.
I was.
Modifications.
That was a long time ago, man. But yeah, so those ones we used to put turbos on them and the Motex on them, and then the Vitek, the Nissan Patrol.
Oh, man.
Oh, those engines
Those
were just crazy.
It's like a GTR. Yeah. Now I have a few coming also from Middle East. I have Patrol 1997. For some reason, 1997 was like one of the best years that they built these cars before like they.
So I think 1997
made a
was
new
the
generation.
year.
It was like the last year of that generation.
You're right,
Yep.
and it was also fuel injected because there was, I want to say, the 90s, early 90s to like 92.
It was a carburetor. Yeah.
They were carbureted engines, so there was very limited things you could do with those.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a Patrol coming next week actually. 97.
And what are you making on these
Safari.
cars? Like,
actually, the Patrol I might just keep it
Okay.
just because nobody knows the Patrol here.
right?
The Patrol, there's barely any people know what the Patrol is unless I find someone that knows what the car is. Then I can sell it. But that's something I want to keep for myself. It was a Patrol Safari 4-door is beautiful. only has 30,000 miles, like 50,000 kilometers.
That's nothing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pristine.
nothing. Yeah, and I also have two other Land Cruisers. Same thing, 1990s are gonna get shipped next week from Saudi Arabia. One of them I'm gonna sell, and one of them I'm gonna keep.
So these are all the oval shaped Land Cruisers. They're not the squared ones. Because those were like early 90s and then 80s maybe. Or no, are they all squared Land Cruisers?
So in 19, so there is it depends on what you're talking about, but in 1991, I would say 1991, that's when they made the new one. It's a little bit round. It's got like
Exactly.
fender flares.
Exactly.
Yes. People love that one. It's got a tire carrier in the back. It was like
Right.
one of the coolest ones, and it's still one of the most iconic design that people absolutely go crazy for, and they bring in crazy amount of money. They are everywhere over in Middle East, but also the clean ones, they are available. They're really hard to get, and they're really expensive because people still love
Yeah,
them. The
people
ones that
still love
have
'em.
no miles, like I have one that's coming. It's got also like 50,000 kilometer.
Yeah, that's
That's
nothing.
about 1994. Same thing, and it was very expensive to buy from there. I was begging the person to sell it to me, and he sold it to me, and he's very happy that he sold it to me because now we're doing business. He actually looks for cars for me right now.
And ships them over.
Ship them over. It's very difficult.
And it's
It's
so weird
not
because I'm used to
easy.
hearing about businesses shipping cars to Iraq, shipping cars to Saudi, shipping cars to Dubai, and now you're doing the opposite.
It's so it was very difficult to find shipping companies that ship cars from these countries because they said
You're doing the opposite.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't work. Like we normally ship from the U.S. But I'm doing the opposite just because I just found the niche, the demand, and I'm just going after them. I'll see how it goes.
I think it's going to be a better business than anything else because riches are in the niches, and these Land Cruisers and the Nissan Patrols. I think there is enough demand for you to be that guy.
But there is only so many Land Cruisers that's out there left that are in a great condition.
Right.
But in here, people pay a lot of money, honestly, for the ones that have 200,000. I just sold one in 1997 with a good amount with 280,000 miles. That was crazy. I didn't even know I was gonna get that much money, but it worked out.
And it's all bring
And
a trailer.
that was on Bring a Trailer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to say like I was surprised. I expected it's gonna bring that much money.
What did it go for?
That one went for $24,000.
Yeah.
About 280,000 miles
Right.
with two accidents, 6 different owners. Like the car is absolutely clean. Like it's beautiful. It's one of the cleanest ones out there. But again, it's just
you just never know.
there's just demands for it, and there's ones that's going like for over 100.
Okay. So, talking about demand, let's talk about the economy and where we're at. So, of course, I don't know if you know this, but interest rates are at all-time high. People are worried about a recession. Businesses are laying people off, and here you are importing cars and like and like
Put my
getting
money on the line.
and,
It's
and you're getting a
financing.
premium on the cars that you thought you weren't getting. So, what are your takes on the economy?
So that's why I'm taking it a little bit easy, even though I have 4 cars in the ocean. Well, not in the ocean; they're on top of the ocean.
All right. You did an Arabic translation just to English direct.
That's why
Yeah.
we're at Immigrant
Yeah.
Unfiltered. So, I have 4 vehicles coming in. Again, you have to upfront the money for these vehicles. Even though I miss on a few deals that I wish I bought, but at the same time, I kind of like don't want to keep buying all these cars and not knowing how much money they're gonna bring, because I don't know if people are interested in the Middle Eastern spec. People will like it, but here's the thing: there's absolutely no history. There's no Carfax. They don't know, like you don't know, I don't know. This is a car. This is what you buy. People still go after the Carfax, but people will still buy these cars. And people that have money, they don't care.
You could
They
become one of those
still-
guys that like retrofits these vehicles in your own brand. Like there's this guy who brings in Defenders and G-Wagons and
seen
they
those. They're
retrofit them
sick.
and it's their own brand. Nobody cares about like what the history is because and those cars sell for like 200 grand.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and they're beautiful.
Quilted
They
leather,
end up
new
turning really
paint,
nice. Yeah. So, but again, the people that have money, they really don't care. A lot of people actually have extra money. They just want to buy something. I will buy something personally. Okay, if I sell a car, if I sell something, okay, I have some cash set aside. Sure, I'll be looking for something. Probably I don't even want, like, I didn't even. I'm not even searching for, but it's just opportunity there. Something comes up and people will buy it, and people still paying premium for all these classics. They did not drop in price. Maybe they dropped like by 5 to 10%, I would say, maybe a little bit less. But I mean, Barrett Jackson, they had the auction going on last month, and cars were going for insane
Yeah.
amount.
I feel like people just want tax write-offs for those cars.
Newer cars aren't really bringing that much money. People don't care too much about these cars, but anything that's older, I mean, the record's been hit. Like
It's working.
all these really expensive ones, like the Carrera GTs, the McLaren people, like the ones that aren't, you can't really get anymore. They're still bringing, ultra premium. Land Cruiser aren't gonna be there, but hopefully we'll see.
I don't know, man. I think they would. I think Land Cruisers are coming back, man. I think if you bring them back, you'll become that guy. And then if you hype them enough with just your following,
I do want to do. That's what I want to do. That's what I
it's
want
like
to do.
flex space.
Actually, that's what I want to do. I want to hype them up. I did sell a couple already, but I want to hype them up a little bit. But no, there's a big cult behind it.
Yeah.
There's a big cult behind it. People love these
I
cars.
mean, I'm looking at them because of you. You know what I mean? I'm like,
You
man,
should
he's
get
driving in
one.
a waterfall. I want to do that. I can't do that with my G-Wagon. I'm going to go in the Land Cruiser. You know?
You should do it. No, I think again, it's not. The car is not like, again, it's not very advanced. It's not
No,
technological,
but it's culturally very sentimental to us.
That's how it is.
You
That's
know
how
what
it
I
is.
mean?
It's like we just feel like we belong in that
Yeah,
vehicle. That's
exactly.
it. Nothing else.
What's going on with the GT3?
The GT3. So since I got the baby, I barely drove that car because it doesn't
Yeah, I
have
haven't
back
seen you
seats.
post about it.
I have it still.
Yeah,
I honestly I didn't drive it on the street since August of last year. Again, we're
yeah, snow.
March right now, and it sat on the racing slicks for months. I took it to the track a few times. I set one of the records at one of our local tracks, which was awesome. But I didn't get to drive on the street. I only drove it once. I trailed the car to Tennessee, went with my family. There were beautiful roads there. The tail of the dragon. I drove it there. It was awesome, and then trailed it back. And I really did not drive it at all. Not a single mile I added on it since that trip. I removed the wrap. I removed the Dubai police.
Yeah,
wrap.
I saw you had that. It looked pretty good.
It was awesome. Thanks. Yeah. I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't know if I want to keep it. I want to sell it. I might sell it, honestly. I might get the Z06 soon. We'll see.
The new one?
The new one. When that
Do you have
comes
one
out.
on order?
I don't have one on order. I actually have one for a client I'm picking up from the same dealer that I'm ordering mine from. He got his before me. Ironically, the same exact specs. I'm the third on the list. He's the first on the list. So I'm going to wait. It's probably going to be sometimes in the summer. I'm not in a hurry right now. Like I said, I'm more excited about these Land Cruisers right now. We'll see. I do have a ZL11LE.
Do you still have that?
No. So I had the first one I sold. I got another one I sold. And now I have a third one, which is brand new. It has 8 miles on it. I bought it in October. It just sits right now. I don't know. I might sell. I might keep. I don't know. We'll see what I'm gonna do with that.
Are those going for like a premium?
They're just hard to get.
Okay.
They stopped making them in 2023. They are demanding higher amount than the regular cars, but I do like that car a lot. We'll see what I'm gonna do with it. I think the GT3 is gonna go. Maybe the Camaro is gonna go, but I like the Camaro because it's got back seats. I don't know what the replacement is gonna be. I kind of want to get like a sport car. Well, I have to have a sport car, but I just don't know which one it is. And I went through a bunch of cars. I had a Rivian that I didn't even get to drive. I just sold immediately. I had a Viper. I sold that one. All these cars I sold like within like the past 2 months.
Yeah. I think it's Land Cruiser, man, to be honest.
Is it?
You're just gonna you
man.
look like you're just gonna need another Land Cruiser.
Honestly, here's a funny thing, because I have a container leaving Jeddah next week on the 12th, and I have space in the container. I just don't know what to fill it with. I'm putting 2 cars in it. I was honestly thinking of doing this trip to Houston and flying from Houston to Jeddah, find some like desirable parts that aren't available in the US, or at least the US specs, fill the gap that I have in the container and ship
ship it.
it doesn't matter to me because the
Yeah.
shipping is going to be the same thing. I'm
Right.
paying for the container. Maybe I'll pay more for duties or just extra expenses, but I just don't have the time to do it. Maybe on the next shipment.
Yeah,
We'll see.
next. It sounds like it will be too rushed. You probably won't get the right parts
We'll see.
if you rush.
I don't-
Unless you have a contact there, then that's different.
They are available. It's not worth it. It's too
Okay.
quick. Yeah, I only
Yeah.
have, I mean, again, that's a week.
Yeah.
That's not worth it.
Yeah, probably not worth it at this point. So now I think you're gonna be that guy, bro.
You think
The
so?
Land Cruiser guy, man.
I don't
I-
mind.
you know,
I
I
don't mind.
But the thing is, there's nobody else. Like, if not you, then who? You know what I mean?
Well, it has to be a Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
Or
You know?
Australian, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
Australians. It's
So that's true. Patrol,
huge.
but you know their specs are different. They're more diesel and
They do love
yeah.
the turbo diesel. There's Central American. There's
Right.
a lot of stuff come from Colombia that get imported here. Australians, there's a lot of turbo diesel, but all of them are right-hand drive. Same thing with the Japanese ones. They're all right-hand drive. That's why they don't bring as much money. I don't want to drive a right-hand drive car personally.
Yeah.
Middle Easterns are left-hand drive. Some of them are beat up, but having the right person that goes and check is always awesome, because a lot of them aren't in the best shape. But if you find the right person that finds the right car, there are some like really good stuff out there.
Yeah. I get that. So talking about all this, by the way, this is exciting. Okay, the Land Cruiser talk is exciting because I'm thinking of getting one, and then your shop is really exciting because it's in a flex space. Where do you go from here? What is the next 5 years like?
Man, there is, because of the economy, there is definitely a big shift, or I would say a pause in my growth or my plans, just because I don't want to make a move where I lose it all.
Right.
In that
You're all in.
I'm all in, but at the same time, I want to make sure I'm protected. Okay, we don't know how the next 8 months gonna be. I want to liquidate as much as I can, just so I can buy deals that
Come up.
come up, because I'll be liquid. So that's what I'm at. I definitely want to grow my company, my brand, even though I don't want to say like I neglected it, but I neglected the marketing part of it. It didn't affect the business, but it just affected the image, the global image, I would say, of the company. That's something I want to bring back and focus on growing. And we'll see where the company is gonna go.
Is it something that you would sell? Because I know Patrick's model is all about build it and then plan for an exit.
But he's in the financial industry, and that business doesn't make sense. The financial services, I don't know, but to me they just don't make sense. But again, they bring some crazy numbers. I don't think I will sell the business unless it's gonna be like a business where it's very large, many locations, like I'm talking 100+ locations.
Okay.
Then yeah, I'll package it all together and sell it to like one of the big companies or some private equity. But I don't think that's gonna happen. And if I have to do it, I want to make sure like I own real estate. I will sell it with the real estate.
Got it.
And not just the name.
So got it. So now your plan is lease expires, you'll have a new space ready by then, move
Yes.
into that. So did you know that you could do, or are you working with like an SBA type product to get all that set up for you?
I'm not yet. I do have
Okay.
another year left.
Yeah.
But I will look into. I don't know how
Are
it
you
goes.
looking to build it ground up, or are you looking to buy something existing?
That's something you will have to advise me on.
Because look, if you're looking to build it ground up, I just did a shop here, not too far from here actually.
Yeah.
And we did a ground up development for them, and they went ahead and did everything via the SBA, equipment plus shop plus real estate, so 100% financed. And they turned around, and the finance amount, I can share it with you, it was about $1.2 million. They immediately started the business, started generating revenue. The business was appraised at $4 million a year later.
Wow.
Yeah, and they pulled out some of that equity.
So, is the business and the building are both together?
Yes.
Okay, so the valuation was the business
And
and
the real
the real
estate,
estate.
correct. And I would say, uh, that's the model. Like, sell the business with the real estate. Ideally, that's what you want to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
we can talk about that on
because
over
I
dinner.
was going to buy I was going to acquire one of my competitors 3 years ago. He was like a big competitor to mine, and I wanted to acquire it not just to uh, take their clients, but also to take down the competitor.
Right.
And again, I went through the process. I was gonna do the whole business acquisition, but one of the main things was through the financing is there real estate? In
Yes.
that
In the
does that
deal.
business own a real estate? Because if the business owns the building, it will be much easier
Yeah.
to get the loan.
Exactly. You're buying the asset, and that
Correct.
falls under a whole different category. Makes life very easy for, like,
So
income generating.
that's what I will have to most likely work on, and I don't know if I will have to build my own, but like you said, you have to find the land first.
Yeah.
And my next one, I think I want to be in like a main location, and it has to be like a big space, because again, you always want
Yeah.
to have more space than you need for growth.
Yeah.
And we were out of space again 3 years ago, and we're just adding more people just to get these projects done. Which again, it's working great because we're staying in the same space, but at the same time, it gets smaller. So the next one is gonna be hopefully on like a main street. But if I can't find a land, if I can't build it myself, I'm definitely
Yeah. I think you should get started, man, because the process.
it's gonna take 2 years.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Especially I'm in Michigan. Okay,
yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
there's snow
Winter.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. It slows down even more. So maybe that's something we need to discuss
yeah,
over dinner
sure,
in more detail. I'd be glad to
absolutely.
walk you through that process.
I love it.
All right. So where were we? Growth. You're gonna focus on the business. Yeah. We were talking about real estate and how you need to start acquiring real estate right now. And yeah, really, in all honesty, look, the process takes time. And like you said, in Michigan, because we have projects that our members are doing in Michigan, and literally you have half the amount of time to, like, get these things erected and move forward with them. Now you have an added layer where you need to go through the SBA and get those processes started. So ideally, what I would suggest is you probably need to start looking at land right now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's
I was on LoopNet yesterday actually looking for buildings, but I did not look at land
I think
because
you'd get.
now it just makes more sense if I just build it myself.
Yeah, because you'd get to customize it to what you want. Number one,
Yep.
parking the way you like it, access the way you like it, and you know, land is probably easier accessible than a finished flex space for you. I would say there's more land than flex space for your type of development.
You're right. It
you
depends
know?
on the area.
Yeah, it depends on the area, of
yes,
course.
but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be just an easier acquisition, even easier loan terms. Because you can use the land as collateral and then just move forward with there.
We'll have to talk about
Yeah,
that.
we'll have to talk about
Yeah.
it exactly.
I need
Well,
some guidance. Yeah.
yes, we're definitely gonna give it to you, man. So once again, man, thank you for coming down. We really appreciate it. We had we went about an hour and a half.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't even watch the time.
Exactly, and that's kind of how these things.
Thank you
go.
for having me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it was really good having you. And we're gonna continue this conversation offline. And once again, Chad, Yasser, thank you very much for flying down and coming and visiting me and having this conversation.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Hamza.